Hello, I'd like to talk to you about using a phonemic chart. This is the chart that I use. My starting point is always this sound here, ah, because everybody can do this sound here, ah. So I get the students to make the sound. I have to make it first of all so that they know which sound it is, and they also know that this is what the game is. The game is going to be, I point to things and the students make sounds. So I point to this one and I tell them, ah. And I make a gesture which gets them to do it as well, and they do it, and then I do a few movements like this, so that they know that they should say ah, ah, when I point to it, ah, ah. And when I'm happy that they know what this one is, I come over to this one, which is on the opposite side, and which is, and I'm sure you'll have guessed that it is E. That's how I get this one. I no longer say any of the sounds as we're working. So this one here then, the students will say E. And then I make them say E, R, for example, and then perhaps, for example. From here, now that we have this one, we'd go to this one. This one here is, and I'm sure you'll have guessed that it is or. So we work on or for a few minutes, and then once they can do that, I come back to these ones. And when I'm happy that these ones are all fine, I then go to this one, which is in English, oo, oo, oo. In order to get them to do this, this is a little tricky, because many languages use oo, which is a fully rounded sound, whereas the English one is not fully rounded. So what I do is I give them, and by now they know that they have to take up the same shape as I'm showing them. So most people would say oo, oo, and they might say their own oo, oo, oo. In which case I flatten my lips, and we get oo, 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 which is the English version. Somehow, when you ask them to flatten their lips, this draws the tongue forward as it should be. This one here is, and sometimes that's a problem because it's so indistinct, but usually there's somebody in the class that gets it, and it is Now that we have this line, we work on this a little bit, and from here I can go to this line. For example, this one here, I get the students to say it, and while they're saying it I go like this, and they say ah, and that in fact is this one. So here we have ah, here we have ah. We can do this right across the line. This one here, well, almost. This one here is or, and we shorten it, or, and then I get them to open it a little, and it comes out as oh, and that is here. Here we have oo, we shorten it, and it becomes oh, as in foot. We come over here, this is a little more complex. Here we have E, and we shorten it, and we get this one here. I might have to tune it a little, but we have this one. Now I get my students to put their fingers like this, one on their nose, one under their chin, and they realize immediately that as they go across here, they're opening. And so they try it. This one here is usually a bit of a problem because people have a tendency to say ah, instead of saying ah. And so I do this, and usually somebody gets it, and from there we can get it into the class. Now, that gives us a whole selection of vowels, and now let's introduce some consonants. So let's start with this one here. A consonant is a consonant, that's to say it sounds with something else. The con is with. And so if I get them to do this, for example, they should say pa, which they probably would do without aspiration, but we can leave that at the moment. And then we have this one here, ah. I might have to work on the voiced versus voiceless, we'll come back to that. And here we have ma. And then we can have words like this, more, me, me, etc. Ah, from this one, instead of going up, we're going to go down, like this. Say this one here, and now make it very short, and we go down to this one down here, which is the schwa sound. From here, we can now go from this one down to this one. So this one is I, and we cut it even shorter, and we get to the shwi. And here we have oo, and we make it even shorter, and we get down to the schwu sound. This opens up all sorts of possibilities. Before we go into those, I'd just like to point out to you a few other things. For example, here we have e, and here we have a, right? And a, in fact, is the diphthong which goes from this one down to this one. A, like that, and there it is there, right? This one is oi, oi, like this, and this one here is we're in I, which comes down to this one. So it's really interesting, in fact, to think that all the diphthongs in English finish either with I, or with or with u. Here we have ow, ow takes us down to this one, ow. This is o. This is a real shame that phoneticians have decided that they would use this sound, this symbol for this, because this makes no sense in actual fact. This is the symbol usually used for schwa. Anyhow, the sound is o in British English. So here we have I, and here we have ear coming down to the schwa. A, coming down here, and u coming down here as well. So this line of diphthongs are the diphthongs finishing with the schwa sound. Here we have diphthongs finishing with the schwi sound, and here we have diphthongs finishing with the schwu sound. So now we have quite a range of sounds to work from. Some of the first sentences that I'm going to be doing will be using just this first line here, and I will work like this. We're going to start with this one. To. The students, of course, say to. I'm not saying anything while this is going on. All I'm doing is pointing. To. And then I get them to stutter. To. And I get them to do it until I can hear that there's a stutter. If I'm working with a group whose language I don't speak, well then I would find out from someone what the word for stuttering is, because I really need that if possible. I don't need it for the whole class, however. If you have 15 different languages in your class, as long as somebody has it, there's no problem. So we have to, and from there we can add this. Caught to, and then I get them to add the schwa, a quarter to two. And I get my students to say this, a quarter to two, several times, and suddenly, usually, someone realizes what they're saying, quarter to two, and they say, oh, a quarter to two, and I say, yes, but you know how to say it the right way. For example, a quarter to two is this, and this one is the correct pronunciation. And I use my hands a lot, so I get them to say a quarter to two for this hand, and perhaps the French or Spanish or whatever version on this hand, so that they are in a position to be able to compare the two, and this one is the English one. And this is what I say it in English, as I do all the way through every course I do. Say it in English means stop using this version and start using this version, whatever the word. Another sentence that I would do very early would be this one. T. And I don't say it, the students say it. I do this, they will say to. What I want them to do is to use the open transition version of the schwa sound. And to do that, we have down here schwa, but we also have an empty grey circle. And it's grey because in fact we're going to be using the background as well. So, for example, if I go like this, then they would say th. That's to say there's virtually nothing there, and I'll get them even to make it shorter. And that is going to give us T, and now I'm going to point like this. 2. And when I point on the F, here in the grey background, and then on the T, what I want them to do is do an open transition from this through nothing to this one, 2. And that gives us T for 2. Let's have a look, for example, at where we'd find a shui. Here's a word with a shui. And you'll notice that as I show it, my pointer goes down, because this is a shui, and then it goes up over the line, and over the line is going to be everything that is stressed. So, between, and the stress is built into the word, so that when I'm showing new words, the stress is actually built into the word as I show it to them. Here's another one. About. Heavy. Let's make it the comparative. And there you get heavier. Heavier. Compare that to a word like tier, which is a one-syllable word. Heavier is a three-syllable word. Heavier. Tier is a one-syllable word. Tier. There it is there. Tier. Let's take another word which brings in shwu, for example. This word starts here, and immediately you know where the stress is going to be. There's the stress syllable. And that gives you influence. I'll show you again. Influence. The only time the pointer goes up to this top section of the chart is on a stressed syllable. Here, in this line, we have I, we have this one, and we have the consonant, this one. How do I find the consonant without telling them? In fact, it's very easy. We need to find this one and this one. So I get the students to say this, I followed by that, I, U. So there are two sounds, I, U, and I get them to make the two sounds one after the other, and then I say, put them together, and that will give us U, and we have it like this. So that they immediately see the relationship between these two. To get this one, it's the exact opposite. Say this one, U, I, and now put them together, and that gives us we, and I can point to it here. And that way, students know that these two are linked, this is why they're close to each other, and these two are linked, this is why they're close to each other. This is part of this family. Let's take a word where there are several pronunciations. January, 4 syllables. January. This one here is J. Jan. Ri. But most English speakers make a 3-syllable word. So I can say to my students, say it again, I can put it on my finger in fact, January. Of those 4 syllables, if we want to make it into a 3-syllable word, which syllable is likely to disappear? So I could get them to come out and point it, and this is what they would point. January. Like this. The same with February, if we say the full version, the completely full version. Feb. Ru. That is the full version. And that gives us 4 syllables. February. Now, that's not what most people say. They change this syllable. So this is what they change it to. Feb. Ri. I'm saying this for you. In fact, when I'm teaching, of course, I'm silent. It's the students who are speaking. Now we have February. But still, this is not quite what people say. So how do we make it even shorter? And this is what people do. Feb-yu-ri. And it is possible to make it even shorter. Like this. February. Now perhaps you think that's too short. Well, some people say it like that when they're in a hurry. Now, we haven't yet talked about this one. Sometimes I have a word like window. Here's window. And then what am I going to do about the O? Well, what I want to show my students is that it's window. So that the stress is on the first, the second is a full vowel, but the full vowel is not stressed. It's an unstressed full vowel. So what I do is I have to tell them which vowel it is, and in fact it's this one, it's this diphthong. But what I do is, it's this one, but I put it here. And down here we have a dashed rectangle, which will hold any full unstressed vowel that might come up. So the first time I point window, I'm going to point the whole word. Put it down here, and that gives us window. And if I have to point it a second time or a third time, well then I would simply point it like this. And the students would know that you put in here whatever you need from up here. Let's take some phrases now. For example, here's one. We went to Italy. Where is my stress? My stress is on Italy. And what I want to do with this is, we have 4 words. We went to Italy. This one is going to hold the stress. This one, we went, is clearly a full non-stressed vowel. So, we down here, in here, and then this one, this is what we say in British English, and now we have the stress, I, to, li. Here's another series, day. Now, if we put into one of the days of the week, Thursday. I'll show you again. Thursday. And now, supposing we make the sentence, or the phrase, Thursday evening. Thursday evening. So here is my stress, eve, and the whole thing will be perhaps this. There's the stress. Thursday evening. So you can see that the chart allows you to make quite fine distinctions, in fact, and place stresses where they should be placed. So this is how I use a chart. As you can see, the stresses are here. The unstressed full vowels are here or here, whichever is most convenient. If I'm working on this side of the chart, I come down to this rectangle, and if I'm working on this side of the chart, I come down to this rectangle down here. And then I have the schwa family of sounds down here. And I use these extensively because my students don't usually use reduction, and I absolutely want them to be able to reduce very easily. So this is why, if I have a choice between using one of these or the shui, I would choose the shui every time. If I have a choice of deciding it should be this one as a full unstressed vowel or the shwu, I would use the shwu every time, because I want them to learn to reduce. This is the most important thing they have to learn in English.